Let me read to you a passage from the 23rd chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 1 to 12. It's the Gospel for Saturday of the 20th week of Ordinary Time. St. Matthew writes, Jesus spoke to the crowds and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and the Pharisees have taken their seat on the chair of Moses. Therefore, do and observe all things whatsoever they tell you, but do not follow their example. For they preach, but they do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to carry, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they will not lift a finger to move them. All their works are performed to be seen. They widen their phylacteries and lengthen their tassels. They love places of honor at banquets, seats of honor in synagogues, greetings in marketplaces, and the salutation, Rabbi. As for you, do not be called Rabbi. You have but one teacher, and you are all brothers. Call no one on earth your Father. You have but one Father in heaven. Do not be called Master. You have but one Master, the Christ. The greatest among you must be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. That's from Matthew chapter 23, verse 1 to 12. We are led to think of humble authority. Studies that have been made of indigenous religions across the world suggest that among the various elements at work in them is that of power and position. The secrets that are reserved to certain persons in the religion, the practices that are required of the general body of adherents, and various other features point all too often to the quest for honors, authority, and influence by some over others. One ought not be surprised at this in view of the fact that man is fallen. Of course, one ought not imagine that this is peculiar to primal religions, for in fact, one can see these factors in the history of religions generally. Indeed, it was present in many recipients and professionals of revealed religion too, according to the word of our Lord. In our gospel that I've just read, our Lord warns the crowds and his disciples against the example of the Pharisees. Do not, he warns, follow their example, for they preach, but they do not practice. They tie up heavy burdens, hard to carry, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they will not lift a finger to move them. All their works are performed to be seen. They widen their phylacteries and lengthen their tassels. They love places of honor at banquets, seats of honor in synagogues, greetings in marketplaces, and the salutation, Rabbi. The ones our Lord refers to sought honors and power and wished to be served. Their example must not be followed. On the contrary, our Lord says, The greatest among you must be your servant. Whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. So our Lord is teaching that what ought distinguish those in positions of honor and authority in the religion revealed by God is humility and the service of others. Can we think of examples of the humility our Lord is speaking of? One example might be the humble apologies expressed by Popes Paul VI and John Paul II on behalf of the Catholic Church for various offences against other religions in the course of history. But there is a second point made by our Lord in the Gospel I read, from Matthew chapter 23, verse 1 to 12. It is the importance of authority in revealed religion. In his criticisms of the Pharisees, our Lord is not in any way dispensing with the authority to guide and teach that is exercised by various persons in religion. In respect to the Pharisees, he actually supports their authority, for he says to the crowds and to his disciples that the scribes and Pharisees have taken their seat on the chair of Moses. Their position as teachers, the chair, shares in the authority of Moses, and our Lord recognizes this. Their position is legitimate in the Mosaic religion and should be truly respected as such. This has important implications. Therefore, our Lord says, "Do and observe all things whatsoever they tell you." These words are significant, for it shows that our Lord not only fully respected the central and enduring things of the Old Testament religion, such as the Ten Commandments and the Scriptures, but he had a profound respect for the institutions of day-to-day religion in the life of God's chosen people in his day. He reverenced authority in religion and insisted on respect for its exercise. While our Lord sharply criticized the Pharisees' love for honors and certain details of what they required, such as certain stipulations respecting the observance of the Sabbath, his exhortation that his disciples and the crowds observe all things whatsoever they tell you shows that he did not dispute their legitimate authority, nor in general their guidance. The point we can take from this is not, of course, the question of the Pharisees. The substance of our Lord's teaching here in our passage is, firstly, that authority in revealed religion is to be exercised humbly and in a spirit of service. Secondly, this authority and those who exercise it are to be respected by all, even if their personal example is far from adequate. Authority of necessity pervades society at various levels. Life cannot be lived without the exercise of authority. In the religion Christ has revealed and established, authority is a fundamental component. Those in authority in the church Christ founded occupied the chair not of Moses but of Christ, and have been given by him a share in his authority to teach and to guide. This must be respected. At the same time, those who exercise this authority must do so in a spirit of humble service, as would Christ himself, and in a spirit of obedience to his word.